artificial intelligence is, in fact, a real thing. It's coming along. And so you will have expert systems where the kid will be able to say, I want to do X. How do I do X? And his phone will have access to 20 expert systems in various forms, or 200, or eventually 400 on something, experts of everything. And they'll get together and collaborate and say, here's how you do what you want to do. And he say, well, I've only got these tools. Well, here's how you want to do with these tools, or here's where you get them. And he'll be able to go create. And the world is going to be only limited to those kids by their imagination and their access to information, because there will be expert systems. Your knowledge work will be automated. We're connecting everything in the house now. Eventually it will all be connected. It'll create big data. We'll have tens of billions, hundreds of billions of things connected, talking with each other. And your personal butler, I need one of those so bad, will come up and say, this is where your world's work, this is your data, this is what you're doing. And, you know, task somebody to get some milk. But it's happening. This is a big deal. Robotics, I don't think we're going to be, I mean, how many of you saw the movie I, Robot? How many of you read I, Robot? So you should go back and read the books. You should read all the Asimov books. Just start with the beginning and keep going. He started writing 70 years ago now. Start with the Foundation series, go up. If you want to know what the world will look like, and then go to Ian Banks, science fiction writer. Writes great plots. But if you want to know what a world looks like after we get all this cool stuff, that's what the world will look like. Now that's hundreds of years in the future, but that's where we're going. But robots will be doing more and more and more. They're not going to become self-aware. I'm not worried about something turning on. But they will be doing more work for us. One of the things they'll be doing is driving our cars. How many of you, I've never asked this before, I'm going to ask, how many of you think you're better than an average driver? You know, when they do these surveys, 80% of the people raise their hand. I'm one of the 20% that doesn't raise my hand. I have no business being allowed to drive. I get distracted, you know. When I can get a car that I can get into the car and go, take me home, James, I'm all over that. I mean, the first day. That's the reason to buy a new car. But in 20 years, we'll all be driving automated cars. Because you'll look at it around and you're going, these people who are driving their cars themselves are crazy. They have 10, 20 times, 50 times more wrecks. They're 40 times more likely to die. And if they do die, it's because somebody was driving a car and wasn't using an automated car. Your insurance costs are going to go down. We're going to not need as many cars because now you can share cars. I only need a car 4 or 5 times a week. But I keep one, we actually keep 2 parked in the garage. Well, if I work together with some of my other neighbors, we could, 10 of us could share 5 cars, and we'd be along just fine. If we need another one, we could just, call one up. That's a rent-a-car, automated car, and that's how we'll do it. So the automobile companies are going to have a little bit of a challenge because we're not going to buy as many automobiles. Because they'll be cool, we won't need them. Because they're just going to be something, you'll be comfortable, you get in them, you can read, you don't care. Now, do I think we're going to stop needing oil? Heck no, we're going to need lots of oil. We're going to find lots of oil. The cost of finding oil in Texas, I don't know much about the way you guys do it up here, but in Texas, our shale oil, the cost of dropping is dropping 20% a year or more every year for the last 5, 6 years. People running around shopping $50 oil. They're happy with $50 oil. They can make money at $50 oil. And when we start shipping natural gas out of Texas, when those liquid LNG terminals finally come online later this year, early next year, oh my God, Stan, back are we going to find gas? We're going to find it everywhere. And we have the infrastructure all over North America to get it to the rest of the world. And the world's going to be converting to natural gas, and we're going to be drilling it cheaper because oil fields are now technology plays. They're technology. When you go into an oil rig today and you talk to, you look at the cool parts, what they call their jewels that are the fracking tools. When Marathon did its first wells in the Bakken, they had one jewel. It's about this long, and it's what they frack with. 5 years later, they're doing 30 to 40 every 2-mile pack. They're going to have to re-drill the original wells Marathon did because they left too much gas and oil down there. Renewable energy, we already talked about that. That is going to become a big deal. Renewable energy is compounding at 30% a year. That's an elbow. That's one of those accelerating curves. If it compounds at 30% a year, which it won't continue doing, I don't think, because if it did, we'd be using 100% solar energy by the mid-2030s. That's what 30% compounding does. It's only 2 or 3% today, but it keeps doubling and doubling and doubling. And you get these doubles and they get pretty big. So even if it only grows at 15 or 20%, it's going to be a significant part of our world. It's hard to describe what we're doing in materials. I get 2 newsletters, and I open them up about 3 times a month. They're daily newsletters. I just randomly open them up because they're materials newsletters. Here's the things that people have discovered in material science, some new chemical, some new substance that will do X. And you read it and you go, wow, that's cool. And these letters come out every day with 3 or 4 things in them. Every day. Somebody's inventing a new material that was faster, better, cheaper, smoother, quicker, stronger. It's all getting connected. In 2003, this was the inaugural of Pope Paul. In 2013, this was the inaugural of Pope Francis. Now, look down in the right-hand corner. You see that? That's a flip phone. I've actually had 2 people in my audiences who brought their flip phone up. One of them actually admitted it in public. Anybody here still have a flip phone? Canadians are with it. You guys got it together. But by the way, in 2003, that flip phone down in the corner, that was cool back then. I had my flip phone. But it also gives you this, because we're connected. And things happen fast. It changes the way we socialize. It changes the way we think. It changes the way we work together. 3D printing. We're printing houses in China now. 1,500 square foot houses. Here's the pad. Put the printer on it. Poof, house. We can do 200 different materials in 3D printers. You want to print titanium? I can print you a titanium piece of gear, metal, precision to nanometers. Pretty dang cool. And I can interleave it with all sorts of carbon stuff and this and that. They've now got printers that print dozens of different substances together. I've been at places where they're printing hearts, building hearts. That's so last year. Because when they took that genome, that skin to do my genome, they also gave it to a group called Biotime out in in California. And Mike West took that, my skin, turned it into a pluripotent stem cell, from which he could turn it into any one of 200 organs, but he turned it into a heart cell. And in a petri dish in California, there are some of my heart cells beating. And that's cool, not just because they're making a new heart cell for me, because that heart cell is a zero-age heart cell. Mike figured out 4 years ago how to turn it back to zero. So it's not a 66-year-old heart cell anymore. I already got those. Doesn't do me any good. I'm 66 next Sunday. But now, if he could get the FDA out of the way, he could give me a new heart, because they're doing it in animals, or livers, or lungs, or all sorts of cool stuff. He will find venues. There will be countries. Japan is experimenting with allowing this now. They have set the regulatory process up where it can happen. They're going to be turning us back. Organ at a time, organ at a time, organ at a time. We are going to live longer. There's a company, we're hoping that they'll be in human trials any day now. I've said this the last time we were talking here. It's FDA that has a bullet for cancer. And we expect to be in human trials now within another 5 months. We think we've passed the last little hurdle with them. I hope. Because 3 million people have died from cancer in the US alone while we're waiting for these guys to get their act together to give approval over a drug that if I could get a hamburger patty of it, I'd put salt and pepper on it, grill it, and eat it. Of course, it'd be worth about $1 billion. But a little bit of that was in mice. If you got a mouse, I can cure its cancer. $30,000, boom, done. You got a cancer-free mouse. But it'll get cheap because it's digital. It can be synthesized.